Part 1. First Glance. Emma wasn't looking for anything that night. She had just landed a contract designing the renovation of an old industrial space turned art studio. It was supposed to be business. Clean, detached. Julian was the studio's owner, a man of shadows and sharp edges. Tattoos peeked from under the sleeves of his shirt, and his eyes held a storm. Their first handshake lingered half a second too long. "You're not what I expected," he said, voice smooth like dark wine. "And you talk more than I expected from a brooding artist," she shot back. They both smirked. A connection clicked, silent, undeniable, charged. By the time she left that night, her pulse was dancing beneath her skin. Part 2. The Spark. Emma returned the next morning, this time with sketches. Julian watched her while pretending to study her work. She noticed, of course. "You always stare this much?" she asked, half teasing. "Only when I want to know what someone looks like when they let go." Her breath caught. He invited her to watch one of his photo shoots. For inspiration. The model never showed, but Julian picked up the camera anyway. "Stand there," he told Emma, pointing to a pool of soft light. "I'm not your subject," she said. "Not yet." When he lifted the camera and aimed at her, she didn't move. She let him see her. And in that unspoken agreement, the walls began to fall. Part 3. Tension. Weeks passed. The project unfolded. So did they. Flirting bled into late nights. Long stares turned into hands brushing just a second too long. Emma began to crave the way Julian spoke to her. Low, precise, intentional. One evening, she arrived soaked from the rain. Julian offered her a towel. She took it but didn't use it. "I could warm you," he said softly. Her eyes met his. "Then do it." Their first kiss wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Weeks of restraint collapsing in a single breath. His hands found her waist, hers tangled in his hair. She pressed against him, heat rising, heart racing. "Upstairs," he whispered. She followed. Part 4. Fire. They didn't undress each other. They devoured. Shirts torn, pants pushed down, her bra unhooked with practiced fingers. She gasped as his mouth found her neck, then lower. "You taste like the rain," he murmured against her skin. She moaned. When he entered her, she arched into him, nails digging into his back. He moved slowly at first, watching her, memorizing every sound she made. "Look at me," he said. She did. And in that gaze, something fragile passed between them. Not just lust, but recognition. They collapsed together after, breathless, bodies slick, tangled in sheets that smelled of sex and something dangerously close to love. Part 5. Cracks. After the high came the tremble. Julian pulled away in the days that followed. He was colder, more distant. Emma, frustrated and hurt, confronted him. "I don't want half of you," she said. "I'm not afraid of your past." He looked at her, something haunted in his eyes. "You should be." That night, she left angry. But he showed up at her door at 2 a.m., soaked again, trembling. "I've never wanted anyone the way I want you. That terrifies me," he confessed. Emma didn't speak. She just pulled him inside. Their second time was different. Slower. Tender. His hands shook when they touched her. He kissed her like she was salvation. And maybe she was. Part 6. Becoming. Emma moved in temporarily, the renovation nearing completion. But by then, neither of them were pretending it was just about the project. They built routines. Coffee in the mornings, silent creation in the afternoons, fevered passion at night. He photographed her constantly, in bed, half asleep, reading, laughing, naked under a window's light. She let him. He told her things he'd never told anyone about his estranged father, his fear of permanence, how he once lost someone and swore never to feel that again. "You already do," she whispered. They made love that night on the cold floor of the new studio, raw, slow, unafraid, and afterward, she whispered into his chest, "Maybe this is what it means to build something that lasts." Part 7. The Gallery of Us. Julian's exhibit drew a full crowd, but the photo of Emma, laughing, eyes closed, utterly free, was the one people stopped for. It wasn't just beautiful, it was honest. She stood beside him as the critics whispered and collectors circled. For the first time, Julian didn't care about their opinions, only hers. Later, in the quiet aftermath, she whispered, "You showed them who I am." "No," he replied, brushing a curl from her face. "I showed them who we are." Part 8. Long nights, small things. They settled into something soft, domestic. Coffee became ritual. Silence became comfort. Sometimes Julian would find her asleep in his hoodie, curled on the couch with paint under her nails. Sometimes she'd wake up to poetry scribbled on napkins, but the fire never dulled. Their lovemaking evolved, less hurried, more intricate. She knew how to draw sighs from him with just a touch. He learned the language of her body, like a well-worn book. Once, after a particularly intense night, she whispered against his chest, "We're more than sex, right?" He answered without hesitation, "We're everything." Part 9. The distance creeps in. As her firm offered a project abroad, Emma hesitated. Italy, a dream. 6 months. Julian said all the right things. "You should go. You deserve this." But his eyes betrayed the twist in his gut. They didn't fight, not yet. But the silence was thicker than usual. He kissed her goodnight like a man memorizing the shape of her. And she dreamed in Italian, with his name caught in the vowels. Part 10. Goodbye, almost. The airport goodbye was cinematic and unbearable. "I'll visit," he said. "You better," she replied, voice cracking. He kissed her slow, final. Not a promise, not a farewell, something between. As she disappeared past security, Julian stood motionless, holding her scarf. He didn't cry, but the ache settled in his chest like winter. Part 11. Time zones and trust. Distance was cruel. Calls turned into messages. Messages turned into delays. Emma met brilliant designers. Julian took on new shoots. They both kept busy, but loneliness seeped in. One night, a client flirted with Emma. Another night, Julian found an old photo of an ex. They never cheated, but they both wondered, would love survive silence? Then, after a week of no contact, he sent her one line. "If you're a country, I'm the fool who never stopped drawing your borders." She called him in tears. Part 12. A return, a rebirth. When Emma came back, it was raining, like the day they met. She found Julian in the studio, asleep at his desk, her old scarf still nearby. She curled beside him, pressed her lips to his neck. "I missed you so much I forgot how to sleep," she whispered. He stirred, held her close. "Promise me you'll never leave for that long again." "No promises," she said, "but always returns." Part 13. Scars and stories. They started talking more about everything. Her childhood, his broken family, the miscarriage his sister had, the affair her father had hidden. They made love after hard conversations, love that was healing, slow, soaked in tears and breathless affirmation. Julian once traced a scar on her rib and said, "I love every damaged part of you, because it's real." She kissed him so deeply it felt like an oath. Part 14. The proposal that wasn't. Emma hated grand gestures. Julian knew that. So when he slid a ring box across the breakfast table, it wasn't dramatic. "I want to choose you every morning," he said, "even when it's messy, especially then." Emma blinked, then laughed. "Ask me later," she said, "when I'm angry at you, when I hate the way you chew, and you forget my deadlines." He nodded. Deal. But she wore the ring anyway, on a chain around her neck. Part 15. The Storm. Every couple has a moment where everything nearly breaks. For them, it was a night when Julian deleted one of her sketches from his computer. By accident. She exploded. You don't respect what I do, she yelled. He threw back. You live in your head and expect me to read it. Doors slammed. Wine spilled. Love looked ugly, but neither left. Hours later, in the cold kitchen, she whispered, I'm scared we'll ruin this. He touched her face gently. We will. Again and again. But we'll rebuild it better every time. Part 16. The Answer. Months later, they sat on the roof during a meteor shower. Emma turned to Julian. Ask me again. He didn't hesitate. Will you be my chaos? My calm? My co-creator? She smiled. Yes. And when the stars burned overhead, they kissed like they were still discovering each other. Because love, real love, never ends. It just deepens.